At the Partial Breakaway Podcast with your hosts Nick and Junior and producer Vince, bringing you elite fantasy hockey information to help you win your fantasy leagues and win at life.
Episode 168 of the Fantasy Hockey Partial Breakaway Podcast.
But the fantasy hockey, what?
The Partial Breakaway Fantasy Hockey Podcast. This is episode 168. I'm co-host Junior. I am also the winner of the Partial Breakaway Fantasy Season Award. I am also the winner of Project Llama, along with my brother and co-GM. I'm just a champion, ladies and gentlemen, and accompanied by loser and co-host Nick.
Hey, that's five-time champion in LPHL, my friend.
Five-time champion in LPHL.
Did you ever do the stars, by the way? On my name?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Convenient.
And rebuilding since 1967. Producer Vince. I'm on a roll today, guys.
I prefer called the Rebuild King.
The Rebuild King.
Thank you.
The constantly rebuilt king.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, until you get it right.
You never get out of the rebuild.
But when I do,
But when
I should
you
have
do-
said they also call me Elmo.
Oh, yes, they do also call you Elmo. Happy birthday. Happy second birthday to our Dante. Vince's son turned 2, and we had a nice little party for him today where I ran around like a child.
Yeah, you played some hockey,
played
some
some
ball
hockey
hockey
Played
today.
some hockey. I body checked
Junior.
I body checked Junior a couple of times. It was fun. It's nice to get out.
Yep. I did the whole Texier slash, but I didn't get called for a penalty.
That's right.
The spear.
You did. The spear that would have been a spear that isn't a spear.
That might be a spear.
Well, according to your wife, you basically did nothing.
Yeah, of course. But
Right.
that's,
for this party, but what else is new, right?
Oh,
That's
I thought we were going somewhere else with that.
Junior, kids are listening, Junior.
Okay. So for the kids, this is what we have on tap for today. The Odd Man Rush, we're going to touch on the playoffs, of course. We're going to touch on the Sabres, Levi and Cossa possibly being available through trade, some draft rumors, some Nemec rumors. Mason Black, he has a PNHLe top 10 for 2025-2026. We're going to take a look at that, and we're going to talk about Dupont, a player everyone has their eyes on for 2027. And we're going to do something a little different today. We're going to incorporate the fantasy lens in this episode because there's not as many topics this time of year. And we're going to look at the early trade bait board that Vince is going to guide us through, along with the Battle Royale update. So there's a lot to get to, but it's going to be fun.
You have something to say before the Odd Man Rush?
No, you do it.
Of course, I'll do it. I'm the producer.
Nothing. I tried doing it from here. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So for the Odd Man Rush today, we have a few topics that we're going to spearhead here. And I wanted to take the time to, talk about the playoffs in the NHL because we've seen a couple of record-breaking ESPN viewings. The playoffs have been going really, really well. And before I get into that, and before my co-host starts yelling at me here, this is brought to you by Sportira. For all your apparel needs, visit. It's not here anymore.
Why
by
did
the
it
way.
disappear, by the way?
Because you removed it.
No, I didn't remove it. Look, it's right there. It's right there.
For all your apparel, here you go. We take this is the Odd Man Rush. We take news and notes and trends of the NHL and turn them into 30-second takes, which usually last 3 minutes. This segment is sponsored from Sportira. Visit their website at www.sportira.com for all your apparel and team uniform needs. And this is the time, by the way, for team uniforms.
Yeah, it's
This
it's a crazy time of year.
my son, we had to go pay for his team uniforms for his soccer.
Yeah.
And Andrea too. Like everything is team uniforms now. It's the time of the year that they all come. So follow them on Sportira as well at sportira.apparel on Instagram. All right. Off to the Habs versus the Canes, because game one was chaos. It was absolutely phenomenal hockey to watch if you're a Habs fan, because it looked like every mistake that Carolina was doing was they were paying for, because the Habs were being very opportunistic, very fast-paced. And then in the second game, it was a snooze fest. Carolina managed to kind of limit the speed of the Habs, which made it a very boring trap game. And also, they didn't have that many shots either. They had about 20 shots or so in the third period. Habs didn't generate much, but still managed to get 2 goals. So, I don't know, Vince, what's your feeling moving forward here? Who are a couple of the players that really stood out to you in those 2 games?
Well, game one was very... there was 2 ways I thought game one was going to go. It was either Carolina was going to give it to the Montreal Canadiens because they were on a 12-day rest and Montreal was just coming off of game 7, or the rest of Carolina would have shown, and it would have... I don't think it would have determined the game, but it would have shown in the game. So Carolina's rust did show in the game, especially in the first period. I think it was the most brutal period Carolina played in game one. But the impressive part was that Montreal didn't fold, especially against Buffalo. There was a lot of games where they had that 2-goal lead and it would disappear into a tie, then they would go into overtime and maybe win it in overtime. So that was, to me, that was impressive when it came to Montreal and hanging on and telling you that they've learned from their past games with Buffalo. Game 2, as a Habs fan, I'm not discouraged about game 2. I really thought game 2 was going to be where... Oh, green screen. So I really thought game 2 was going to be Carolina coming out. And they came out guns blazing. I mean, they really closed the neutral zone. There was no space.
Yeah, I think game 2, that's the Canadians look slow, but I don't think it's because, people are going to say they're tired. They clogged the neutral zone. They made them play dump and chase, and they weren't winning those one-on-one battles. So it's, wow, that looks nice, Nick. Excuse us while we're going through some video difficulties here. But like you said, I'm not worried about the Canadians. I think they can hang with the Hurricanes. The one thing I said about Carolina in conversations with others is like they lack a true game breaker. Ehlers kind of showed he's a bit of a game breaker. I mean, that was a nice shot. He had 2 goals. Anytime you can score in OT like that, it's, you turn yourself into a pretty clutch player. So it should be interesting. I think it's going to be a barn burner on Monday, that's for sure, in Montreal, game 3.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I'll notice is that Anderson didn't look like the Anderson that everybody was talking about in the first 2 series, right? He kind of looked a little bit leaky, actually.
Frederick Anderson, correct?
Anderson. And Dobish, I mean, Dobish has been doing very well. In last game, he's the reason they went to overtime.
Yeah.
Because there was about 3 or 4 goals that Carolina could have easily had to blow us out of the water. He kept us in the game up until the end. So he has to be careful as well with some antics and some, he's the most penalized goaltender in like the last 20 years.
That's crazy.
Which is pretty funny, actually.
As a rookie.
But it's part of his game. I mean, look, you could say he needs to be more disciplined. He needs to be less emotional. He's good because he's emotional.
Yeah.
It's part of his game. It's part of what motivates him. It's part of what makes him be so aggressive and be so good in front of that. So Dobish is going to be interesting moving forward in fantasy.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of leagues that didn't have Dobish
Drafted.
Mm-hmm. And then there's some leagues, like I have him in Lama, but how do I value him now, right? He's in the semifinals. How do you value him?
Well, he's definitely earned a 1A or 1B role, right? I mean, Fowler, everyone
Well, I don't
always...
think 1B he's earned 1A.
Yeah, but I mean, at worst, he's 1B. If Fowler outplays him and, like, Fowler's not playing 60 games a season yet, right? I know Montembeau's still there, but not really.
For how long?
Not really. But I just want to touch because the clip about you saying Carolina was going to bamboozle the Canadians and be the first of the two teams to win 4 games generated a lot of traction on TikTok. And a lot of people right after the first game were like, not even the first game, after the first period, they were like, oh, it's 5-1. Well, this aged well. But after game 2, it was pretty quiet. So
Funny how that works, eh?
yeah,
how social media works, right?
but it's because they just listen to what they want to hear, right? But what Nick said was, yes, he believes in rust, that they were going to be rusty. But at the end of the day, Carolina was still going to be the better team and get to 4 wins before the Canadians. They were rusted, and they were the better team in game 2. So, yeah, just listen to the whole clip.
No, I don't care what they listen to. They can listen to whatever they want. I know what I said, but I'm not saying it because I'm not a Habs fan. I'm a Habs fan, but what do you expect necessarily out of this team? Like, yeah, you could be like, we have a couple of friends who are go, and we're gonna win it all and plan the parade and all that stuff. But let's be honest here. We're a team that wasn't even not meant. That's not the right word. Wasn't expected to necessarily have an easy way to making it into the playoffs. They beat our expectations in that. Playing against Tampa, it looked like Tampa was the veteran team at some moments during that series. And the fact that we won with 9 shots in Game 7 goes to show you that it wasn't a dominant Habs team that because they were so dominant, they won.
Yeah.
Second round comes in. They looked dominant against Buffalo in the early going. But Buffalo started playing their game. They started clogging more the neutral zone. They started playing that more Lindy Ruff style, I would call it. And they were leaning on us a lot more. And you kind of saw that take a toll. Now, you could say that the expectations at home versus away are a little bit different. And, some people are saying, well, it's the Habs want to play so well in front of their home team that they're holding their sticks too tight, right? Stuff like that are being talked about. Even St. Louis was answering some of those questions. Yeah,
he kind of said sometimes they try too hard because they know how much the fans want it, that they try a little too hard and it gets better.
So it's not, just to finish my thought, it's not that they're a world beater team. They're a team that feels like they belong. They're a team that feels like they could hang, and they feel like a team of destiny. But the fact of the matter is that they're not completely running out of the building against any of these teams.
And their troubles at home is well known. Like they can't win at home.
I still hope they win.
100%.
Oh yeah,
As
Habs any Habs fan hopes they win, right?
Yeah,
But as
you want to be realistic.
As a podcast host, I'm trying to be as realistic and impartial as possible.
Listen, there's a reason out of 40 NHL executives, 38 of them had Carolina to win, whether it was in 5 games, 6 games, or 7 games. So it's not like Habs were there and favored to win. They do. Like you I think you used the perfect word. They do feel like a team of destiny. But they still have holes on their team, and Carolina is a very good team to exploit those. And in Game 2, Carolina completely clogged the neutral zone, where they couldn't get any speed going. They couldn't get, and it was the whole dump and chase. Now, dump and chase is nice when you're 6'3".
It works well. It plays into Carolina's favor. The dump and
Exactly.
chase.
So it's going to be interesting to see Monday how they gather the emotions of playing at home. Bring in that energy that the fans are bringing and how they use it to their advantage. I think the first 10 minutes in that Game 3 is going to be very important for Montreal. They're going to have to get something going, like a goal or whatnot. And in Game 1 and 2, I mean, there's been goals in the first 5 minutes. So.
From the basically what I said last week was Carolina's worst game was going to be the first game. So they needed to salvage home ice and at least get one, and Montreal needed to win the first one. They won the first one. They're going back home on a 1-1 split. I don't think anybody's going to complain about that. And I think if there's more scrums it's going to benefit Montreal. Because you saw when Aho gets nervous and he gets angry, he's off his game. And in game 1, we saw that. Remember, we were telling each other, oh, look, he's cross-checking, oh, he's slashing. He's completely off his game. So the rougher it gets, the more scrums, the more like, I don't want to say cheap shots, but like the annoying nicks and knacks there, I think it benefits the Canadiens. Maybe we'll see a bit more of that on home ice.
Well, okay, so a lot of Canes fans wanted to talk about one thing of the Habs and Canes, and that was the supposed spear / love tap / slashing call finally with Texier on, who was it again?
Keandre Miller.
Keandre Miller. You know, I mean, is it because he's well endowed? Is that why he fell like that, or not wearing a cup, or
it's a reaction, no? Like when you're just standing there and one of your friend passes by and just fakes it, what do? You go down, like you go backwards. I think it was he felt it. He felt the stick for sure. Like the stick did hit him between the legs.
He sold it. He sold it.
He went down, but then he kind of put some ketchup on that, and he got the call, but. Even Texier, it's a dumb thing to do.
It is.
It is a really dumb thing. It's a penalty. There's no doubt about that.
Like
he sold it like anyone would sell a high stick, right?
Talking about selling it, what about that Svechnikov? He's literally sitting there cross-checking Hudson into the goalie to try to get Hudson off his game. And then he feels a glove come from behind him from Struble, and like that wasn't an egregious pull from the back or anything like that. And I haven't seen that called all playoffs, honestly.
Yeah, the referees have been... listen, we're not going to criticize referees. It's really hard to ref in the NHL and to ref at the speed the game is at right now. So the refs' calls have been for and against Montreal. They've been for and against Carolina. They only play 8 games, those guys. So there's only so much.
I know people are not going to like this, but I didn't like the hit from Taylor Hall on Hudson. I felt like his knee was a bit out. I think it was a bit reckless, maybe not intentional, but in playoffs you hit to hurt. It looked a bit awkward, and plus he came in almost like a charge because he came in from at least the middle of the ice, right? So I wasn't too crazy about that. I didn't like it at all. I know Hudson didn't like it. The refs seemed to think it was normal, but
supposedly Hall has done this to a couple of first-line defensemen on a couple of other teams in each of the series prior to this. So when there's you could only really say that coincidence happened once. Second time, now there's something fishy about this, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's where Habs fans really got a little bit upset, which it's understandable.
But I think the message just to end on this topic, I think the message is very clear from Brendan Moore. Whenever Hudson has the puck, hit.
Yeah.
Finish your check, hit, and hit hard.
And he needs to be able to avoid, because we've seen in the next series how Makar missed the first 2 games. Mm-hmm. And he missed the first 2 games due to what seems to be a dislocated shoulder or some sort of AC joint, shoulder, separated shoulder, something like that. And he missed the first 2 games. And guess what? The Avalanche lost the first 2 games.
Yeah.
So now we're kind of taking a look, and the Golden Knights are winning 3-0 the last we checked here.
3-2.
The Golden Knights?
It's 3-2.
Oh, sorry. The Avalanche were winning 3-0 the last I had checked, but now you're saying it's 3-2.
Stone scored by Marner and Hurdle on the power play.
Oh, my God. Marner
and then
again.
William Karlsson assisted by
Marner?
Mitch Marner.
Oh, my God. Toronto fans are...
It's because he's well insulated. Yeah, playing with William Karlsson, guys. Well insulated, playing with William Karlsson over Austin Matthews. Give me a freaking break, man. Stop whining, guys. Marner's a damn good player, and you guys basically gave him a ticket to leave. So, and by you guys, it's the media and the fans, because he was the scapegoat. But let's talk about this series.
Wow, that went dark really quick.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because
I feel like it's
I'm following,
very emotional all of a sudden.
But a lot of people had stuff to say about our clip about Marner last week.
Oh, what did they say? Because I don't watch our...
basically saying there was some that were saying they should have never let him go, but most of them were saying that it's because he's on a better team and he's better insulated, But insulated by who? He's playing with Howden or sometimes William Karlsson. He's not playing on a line with Jack Eichel or.
Well, I'll tell you what Vegas has over, and every Toronto fan will agree with me here. What Vegas has over Toronto, when we're talking about well insulated, it's not the players on the line, because Matthews and Nyes are freaking amazing players.
Gosh.
Tavares, a few years back, was a very good player. I mean, he's getting a little bit older now, but William Lee now, they're very good players. So it's not. I don't think the insulated part is there. I think where Vegas has the advantage on Toronto is that decor.
Yes,
because the decor could move the puck, whereas Toronto's decor is literally a bunch of shot blockers. At least that's how I feel.
Yeah.
When you take a look at Morgan Riley, he's the only one that can move the puck, and he does it at a very average level. He like Morgan Riley to me is a good number 3 defenseman on a team.
Yeah.
But I would never put him top pair.
No.
But they have no choice. They have nobody else that can move the puck on that team. And then McCabe is pretty good as well. Don't get me wrong. OEL is pretty good as well. But these guys are well into their 30s at this point. This is a young man's sport. It's okay to have a few veterans there, but you can't have a team full of veterans or else you become the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah.
Right?
They tried to, last year, they tried to build that team.
This is getting me excited. Hold on.
They tried to... Woo! Take it off! Let's get some views on YouTube here, guys. Last year, Tree Living tried to build that team to be successful in the playoffs. What he didn't realize was that they got to get there first. And they lost Marner, and they replaced him with players that would help them in the playoffs, which they never essentially got to.
Let's go back to Vegas and the Avalanche.
It's just always fun to talk about the
players.
But the one thing about Vegas is that, remember, they had a coaching change, 12 games left into the season. And it seems like right now they've all bought into what Tortorella is selling them. So they're playing a system that Tortorella likes and that is causing problems for other teams. The thing with Colorado is they basically lost a McDavid or a Draisaitl. Losing McCarr is like losing McDavid and Draisaitl on your team. Like, he is the...
Oh, he would play half the game.
Yeah, he played 30 to 33 minutes. You cannot replace a player like that. So them going down 2-0, it's not... Like, you wouldn't have said it at the beginning of the series until you knew that McCarr was injured. Once McCarr was injured, we're all like, okay, Colorado could be in trouble right now. And that's what happened. Like, he's playing today. How healthy is he? How many minutes is he going to play? So it all comes into play. But, I mean, Vegas seems right now against Colorado seems like the better team.
Halfway through the second period, so let's say 30 minutes in, he's played half the game already.
Yeah.
15 minutes of ice time.
One thing, Colorado's goaltending has been really disappointing.
I'm very disappointed in it. I agree with you completely. I mean,
is it Wedgwood or Blackwood?
Wedgwood.
Still, they stuck.
They stuck with Wedgwood.
I think their goaltending is very disappointing in this series.
Yeah.
So just to go back to not having Makar, I mean, it really shows how their depth on defense isn't great, because Malinsky now becomes your primary puck mover. Nobody knew of Malinsky until this year.
You're saying with Makar
out of the lineup, right? Devin Taves can only do so much. Like, you got Taves, Makar, Kulak, Malinsky, Josh Manson, and Brent Burns. You're lacking a little depth if Makar is out, right?
Brent Burns 41.
So, yeah, if there was one player they couldn't afford to lose, it's probably Makar.
Burns is still a pretty good player, but he can't play the minutes that Makar plays, and that's the problem with having a 41-year-old on your roster, right? Is that this guy, even if he comes in for a pinch here and there, a pinch is very different from half a game.
Yeah, and also there's some, we haven't heard Brock Nelson's name, we haven't heard Nature's name. Like, these are players that in the previous rounds were like carrying the team, and we haven't heard them at all this series against Vegas. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in Game 3. I'm hoping Colorado wins, so it's a longer series.
Oh my gosh! This just in, guys, 3-3.
Oh man!
Vegas has come back from a 3-goal deficit to tied at 3. Kolasar by Coughlin and Korsak. Basically, the fourth line ties the game.
Yeah, they need to take Wedgwood out of there.
Sorry. The thing with Vegas is that they're hitting on all cylinders. All their lines are contributing. Hurdle, who was completely invisible in the first two series, has woken up and has arrived. Now Stone is back, who hadn't played in the first two games. This is a well-balanced team, man. I had them to win the cup from the beginning. Remember the bold take there? But it's a well-built team. It's a team built for the playoffs.
So when we discuss Tortorella, okay, Tortorella is the type of person that usually has very good short-term success.
Yes.
And long-term, he loses the room. He loses his own mind most of the time.
A bit like Cassidy. He has an expiration date.
There's an expiration date on some of these coaches, absolutely. Bednar, if he doesn't get out of this series, are we looking at a coaching change in Colorado as well?
Well, Colorado already has their next coach. Their next coach is the coach who's
From Denver.
from Denver.
Is it David Carl?
David Carl. That's their next coach. He's saying no to every team that's approaching him. And the main reason is because he wants to stay in Denver. So there's only one team that plays in Denver, which is Colorado. So that they have their next coach. Is it? I mean, can we really blame Bednar when Makar is at the state, like health-wise is where it is? I mean, you're losing your number one defenseman, your second best player. I mean, I don't think. I think Bednar, the biggest thing is goaltending. I think Blackwood should have been in nets today. Wedgwood did not look good in the first two games. I understand in the season he's never been the number one goalie, Wedgwood. There was no reason for them not to go back to Blackwood today. There was none. And he stuck with Wedgwood. And look, now 33.
Does this change Blackwood's trajectory fantasy-wise for next season?
I think he has a really good chance to get back the amount of games that he was playing when he signed that contract.
McKinnon left the game.
You see?
He's struggling to get off the ice, but he's doing so on his own because he blocked a shot right on the side of the knee where there's no protection.
Okay,
So
let's not
Slavkovsky did
give-
that, and
let's not give updates every 5 seconds.
no,
on
but
the game
because I was
itself.
just trying to see
'Cause
if
by the time people listens to this, there's probably going to be news that
they get our raw reaction to it. No, but what I was really trying to get is if they pull the goalie, which that's all I'm trying to find, and that's what I came across. But
All right. Anything else to add on the Colorado and Vegas series? Dora 5 looks amazing.
Yeah.
We were talking about him potentially needing a contract and being an RFA candidate for offer
teams.
sheet.
Yeah, for sure.
For teams. We'll get to the offer sheet conversation a bit later, I guess.
If we have time, yeah.
If we have time. But I wanted to spend the first half of this episode for sure talking about the playoffs that are actually going on and the teams that stayed in it, because I thought that was very important. But to move on to the next topic, let's talk a little bit about one of the teams that's not in it anymore, and that's the Sabres. So the Sabres obviously had a very good run. Unexpected because they were a bottom-feeding team for a very long time until Kevin Adams got fired, and all of a sudden they took fire.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of the Habs last year. Not that anybody got fired last year, but remember, I think at Christmas time or at...
They took off on their long run to make...
I think it was American Thanksgiving or Christmas that the Habs were last place or second to last place last year, and it was looking like another top 3 pick for them. And all of a sudden they went on a run for the ages and made the playoffs and basically ran out of steam against
wasn't
Washington.
there a story there with Kent Hughes and Suzuki?
Yes.
How Suzuki was like, don't get rid of anybody, don't trade anybody.
No, but that was...
Then Hughes was like,
was at the
give me a
deadline.
reason not to trade them. If you guys, I think it was a week before they win the West or something. He's like, if you guys have a good week and you give me a reason not to trade, not to make a move, then
Yeah,
I
but they
won't.
were already on the burner.
They had already come
started
back, but
coming
they were
back.
still outside looking in at the time. Yeah, but yeah, to your point,
So the Sabres next year, I think they're I'll never say lock because we saw with Toronto. I'll never say lock, but the Sabres have a very good chance of making the playoffs next year.
You want a bold take?
Oh, let's do it.
Oh,
Let's
boy.
do a bold take. Why not?
an early bold take, 2026.
No, not about the team. It's... the Sabres should not sign Alex Tuck.
I agree with you, but
I think...
I don't know how bold that is.
Well, because everybody says to give him that $10 million. And to me, Konstas Helenius showed that he belongs in the NHL.
But I mean, Helenius was there in the playoffs.
But he's a
But
center, no?
that's it.
Yeah, he's a center. They're
but
different positions.
You can move one of their second center to winger. I think it's Tage Thompson plays wing center. So I believe if they get rid of Tuck and they don't re-sign Tuck, they can go out and get another player to help that team.
How? Via trade.
No, or see that's the
The
other thing.
UFA is so bad.
Yeah, but that's why Tuck.
And you're probably going to pay to have a UFA, right? You're probably going to be paying
there's
extra.
No point. That's why Tuck is going to get this 11, 12 million because
I don't think 12. No,
No?
he's not that. He's not a Robert
hope
Thomas.
not.
No.
Jason Robertson. He's not.
He's
He's
also
not.
you think he's a $10
Rantanen?
million? You think he's a $10 million player?
I think in today. So if you look at the actual salary cap, cap percentage, $10 million is like giving a guy like 9 or 8.5. So I mean, is he an $8.5 million player? I think he is. The new 8.5 is 10. So
But I think people will underestimate how much he meant to this team, though. You take out Tuck, that's a big part of your team that you're taking out.
well, I mean, in the
Because he's
playoffs,
reliable both sides of the ice, right?
I think, unfortunately, in the playoffs, he was not.
That's
0, 0, 0,
Undeniable.
0 all
Undeniable.
across the board.
And I think they still have to organize that goaltending position.
The
Because they have
goaltending
three
position
goaltenders right
did not look strong
Actually,
against the
four.
Habs.
3 goaltenders signed for
Levi.
next year, plus Levi, who is going to want a shot at some point.
Which brings us, I guess, to the next point, which is there's a lot of goaltenders in play.
Young goaltenders.
There's a lot of goaltenders that might be traded. And that includes Levi, who came out and is being speculated that he's going to be on the move from Buffalo. Was it Friedman that speculated that? I think it was. I think
Levi?
I heard it in 32
Yeah.
Thoughts.
Even Chris Johnson.
Even
Yeah.
Chris Johnson.
And Sebastian Cossa looks like he's somebody that's going to be potentially on the move.
That's from Frank Saravalli reporting that he's probably available.
There's a possibility,
Yeah.
right? And then, I mean, we already know who else: Montembeault, Binnington,
Merzlikins,
Wallstedt, perhaps.
Wallstedt.
We'll see now with the Gustafsson injury, the hip surgery, what that means for that. But
There's a lot of different goalies, and one of my arguments that I was having with Vince was that when you have a lot of goalies on the market,
Oh, guys,
discussions. We don't have arguments. Discussion.
you
Yeah,
forgot
I mean-
about Bobrovsky too, right?
Bobrovsky, yeah, that's a good one too. One of the discussions we were having off the air was that when there's a lot of goaltenders in play, it drives the price down, right? It's demand and supply. There's a lot of supply, it brings down the market.
Yeah.
So Vince's argument is that Cossa is probably the best out of all of them. I agree that he has the best potential,
So
but
you like him better than Levi?
I like him better than Levi, absolutely.
I think Cossa is the cheapest.
Not in cost of what it's going to cost you to acquire him.
No, money wise. I'm not talking about what's going to.
Yeah, okay, money-wise, sure.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
with the salary.
Well,
cap,
Levi and him are going to be the same.
with the salary cap, it's going to be that comes into play as the goalie salary comes into play.
Yeah, but don't forget the salary cap is going up. So there's more money to give around.
Yeah.
Is it really going to be that much in play?
Well, I mean,
Depends the team.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing. What's Detroit looking for? Like everybody's pointing Cossa towards Edmonton. But what does Edmonton have to give to Detroit to make them a better team?
Well, the problem is that I don't think, I mean, I'll be surprised. Crazier things have happened. I don't think anybody's giving up a top 6 player on their roster right now for a goalie. Any goalie. I don't care who the goalie is. A top 6 player is not being given up, in my opinion. Now, if a team is willing to do it, a team's willing to do it. I mean,
High end prospect?
a high-end prospect makes sense because it's a prospect versus prospect.
Yeah.
Even though Cossa has played in the AHL, he has not played any NHL games.
yeah.
So he's a prospect in my book. So is Levi, even though he has played a few NHL games. A high-end prospect, sure. Yeah, I could see that. But Edmonton doesn't have any, so forget that.
That's why, like, he's been.
Unless it's Ike Howard. I mean, that's their best prospect right now.
Savoie.
But
Came-
Savoie's already on their
he's
team.
already on the
man.
team.
Like,
The thing with goalies is that they naturally, as a position, they're very important to your team, but come trade, they don't have as much value as any other position. So
It's
picking him in the first round, like it was a top 15.
a bit of
and-
that has to do with reliability too, right?
Yeah.
Like you've seen so many goalies have good seasons, bad seasons, good seasons, bad seasons. So like we never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's a bit voodoo.
So it's voodoo. So how much are you going to give up a top sixer for a voodoo?
But that's it. So like you drafted him 15th overall or something like that, and now you might trade him. Like the second you drafted him at 15th, he already lost his value, his initial value. It's like when you buy
like a
a new
car.
car. Yeah, when you buy a new car, you take it out of the lot, it's already worth less. So, but I would assume they would package it for something better. Package Cossa for something better. I don't know. That's like Levi. I don't know what kind of value Levi has now.
I just don't think it's a lot. And
I
I think it's
agree.
because of that demand and supply thing. You could get somebody on free agency. Why would I give up a roster player or a top end prospect for a goalie?
Like it's not going to be a first round pick for either of them, right?
I mean, it depends how low that pick is. Edmonton's first rounder, they don't have it. But let's say another team, right? Maybe another playoff team that's a late first rounder. Yeah, I'd give up a late first rounder for Cossa. I think Detroit's ask is more than that.
So if you're Tampa, do you start preparing for after Vasilevsky? Maybe you make him play less games.
No.
And you go get a Cossa?
Vasilevsky has 5 years left,
Yeah. well,
minimum.
instead of playing 65 games, you could play 50.
Yeah, but why would you get? You're already having a hard time getting prospects because you draft late all the time and you trade your firsts away every year because you're competing. Why would you give up a roster player for a Cossa when you already have Vasilevsky? That doesn't make any sense for me.
No, your first round pick, which is like 25 to 32.
Does Tampa even have their first rounder?
Yeah,
this
they
year?
do.
So,
I'll confirm that, but I'm pretty sure they do.
so an interesting stat.
I still wouldn't do it though.
Since 2000, 13 goalies have been selected in
Oh
the
no,
first
they do
round.
not. My bad.
Okay,
They
so
don't. No.
I'll name you all the goalies that have been selected 15 or higher overall. Rick DiPietro, first overall in 2000 with the Islanders. We can easily say that was a little bit of a bust.
A little bit. I
Brett,
like that.
Brett Cran, 9th overall by the Calgary Flames.
Who?
Brett Cran. See, that tells us a lot. Those were both in 2000. So DiPietro went first, Cran went 9th.
Okay, but now you're talking about like 2000 or something.
Yeah, but that's. But I wanted to see. Then Dan Blackburn, 10th overall to the Rangers, 2001, didn't pan out. Carey Lehkonen, 2002 with the Atlanta Thrashers, second overall, had a decent career with Dallas.
But it wasn't
Still
an
not
all-star.
second overall worthy.
Nothing
Yeah,
extraordinary.
it wasn't like a Hall of Famer.
No.
He was
exactly.
good at the beginning, but
Yeah.
he faded fast.
2003, Marc-Andre Fleury, first overall. We can say Hall
Hall of
Legit,
Famer.
legit Hall of Famer.
2004, Devin Dupont, 14th overall. Had his
moments here and there,
yeah,
but
with Minnesota,
was more
had
of a
his run.
1B.
not worth it.
Yeah, with Edmonton, I think he had a nice run with Edmonton, but not more than that. 2005, Carey Price, 5th overall. I mean, at the end of the day,
Hall
without
of
his
Fame.
injuries, a Hall of Famer for sure. 2005, Tuukka Rask, Stanley Cup champion, 21st overall.
Possible Hall of Famer. I think.
Possible.
Possible
I think
Hall of Famer.
I'm okay with that.
Rico Helenius, 15th by Tampa Bay in 2006. 2008, Chet Pickard, 18th overall, Nashville Predators. 2010, Jack Campbell, 11th overall by Dallas Stars. We can say that didn't pan out. 2012, Andre Vasilevsky, 19th overall,
Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer.
19th.
Yeah. Then 2019, Spencer Knight, 13th.
He's
For the
looking good
past-
Still
now.
to be written. The story's still
Looking
to be
good
written.
now.
Looking
Yeah.
good now.
2020, Askarov, 11th overall.
We'll see.
Seems with San Jose, change of scenery might have gotten him where people thought he was going to be. 2021, 15th overall, Sebastian Cossa. 20th was Wallstad. And then 2025, we have Peter Andrianov. So,
That from the Leafs?
no, Columbus.
Columbus.
Drafted him 20. So, I mean, drafting goalies, like Junior was saying, top 15,
But
it's a
That's
risk.
a big risk.
It's a huge.
Huge
I mean,
risk.
I named about 15 goalies, and we can say there was maybe
3 Hall of Famers.
3. Like you have Ottinger, 26th, who was picked 26th. Who else? There was someone else. Demko, 36th. But I mean, it's when you pick a goalie that high, you're expecting him to be the future.
What's weird is that a lot of those guys, they didn't even speak of them as if they were going to be Hall of Famers. They really went almost off the board for some of them. Like Spencer Knight, everybody was talking about Spencer Knight. Everybody wanted Spencer.
Well, no, Fleury
Carey
too.
Price, everybody knew. Fleury, everybody knew. But some of these other names you said were like, it sounds like a big reach.
Yeah.
So they almost
But I think it
thought about it too hard.
It talks more about the fact that goalies are unpredictable.
Yeah.
In their development, and their development takes such weird paths that you don't know if you're trading for a goalie whether that goalie will be good or not on your team. They may be good, but they might not be good on your team. So for me, that's why you don't trade a top sixer in order to get a goaltending prospect.
Yeah. Listen, if Detroit plays it well and they get a desperate team, they can get something in return.
Sure.
But I agree. Like it's
hard.
It's hard.
It's tough.
It's hard. You shouldn't.
And it's not against the player. The player, I think, in this case, Cossa is a good player. He's a good goalie.
Cossa,
But you just don't know.
No, yeah. Cossa has gone through the stage where you want your goalie to go.
He's paid his dues.
Dominant in the AHL.
Yeah, he was successful in juniors, dominant in the AHL this year. So his numbers were really good in the AHL. But I mean, you know how we talk about players are just some players just AHL players, and they can't, once they come to the NHL, it doesn't click. Goalie's the same thing. He could be an AHL goalie, and then
Okay,
You
guys,
know,
I want to
they-
move on because we're running a little bit short on
The
time.
Grand Rapids actually started the backup to start the
backup,
playoffs, and he lost his first 2 games. They put Cossa in, he got a 4-0 shutout. They still didn't make it, I think, to the Calder final, but thought about it too hard there too.
So we've heard a lot about Malhotra coaching his son.
Is that official yet that he's coach or no?
I don't think they've announced anything, but I hear that the Sedins really want Malhotra. So we'll see. I mean, that could also be like
he's been thrown in the mix.
a little bit premature.
He's been thrown in the mix with Toronto too. Malhotra.
So could Vancouver be leaking that they're going to take Malhotra at number 3 so that the Blackhawks don't trade up for Stenberg? I mean, this is such a junior question, but
Well, no, because this is what's like kind of out there now, right?
yeah, I mean, on Reddit forums, right?
Yeah, not anybody.
But okay,
legit.
I mean,
but it would make sense. It would make sense. This is part of the
team-
gamesmanship that these guys
so
do.
a team before the playoffs, before the draft, is going to throw out some fake information out there. So it's a very big possibility that Vancouver is faking this Malhotra thing. But I mean, to me, they wouldn't do it if they're planning to name Manny as the head coach and then playing with his son's future like that. Like
I don't know if I would feel comfortable coaching my son and drafting him 3rd overall. That's a lot of pressure, man, for both of them.
Gorton said it.
I agree.
Gorton was on a podcast and he said it perfectly. He goes, before the draft, scouts are like, when you talk to scouts, it's like being in a high school cafeteria where they'll just tell you things and they'll say, this is guaranteed to happen, then nothing happens. So guaranteed there's mind games being played here.
Yeah.
Everywhere. It's not only, even the whole Toronto thing, are we going to really take McKenna? Or like it's
I
all,
think that's like the for sure thing.
yeah, I think it's all mind games right now getting played to see. Like San Jose could easily play mind games because, listen, they stay at 2, they take Stenberg. If they need a defenseman, they can go as low as 5 and still get a good defenseman for their team.
I wonder what. So I think the smart money, which is the Vegas money, and we'll talk about DraftKings a bit later, but I think the Vegas money has McKenna going 1st overall as the you barely get paid. Yeah. You barely get paid if they
19
actually
cents on
take
on the dollar or something.
and then the rest of the field. You could bet the rest of the field, and it's like paying 2 times your money.
Yeah.
Like that's how for sure it sounds like McKenna is going to be the thing, right?
Anytime there's an obvious one, people are always going to try to make a story out of it to generate more traction, right? More attention.
You need views, right? So to get views, you need to throw out things there for people to put on their TV and watch the draft.
But just to get back to Malhotra here and Stenberg, personally, I feel there's a big difference between a Stenberg and a Malhotra. The only thing that maybe makes Malhotra very prominent is that he's a center.
Yeah.
If you're rebuilding your team, I still think you should get the best player available regardless of position. However, and we were just proposed a trade, by the way, on Victor's Dynasty League, Victor Nuno's Dynasty League. Don't check it out. Don't check it now. We're gonna look at it later.
live on episode 168.
But I think you get best player available, but a lot of GMs will tell you you need to get your center in the building. And it's kind of like your quarterback, right? In the NFL. You need to get your quarterback in the building at some point to start building around that person. So maybe that's what they're thinking with Malhotra here. But personally, if you have the chance to get Ivar Stenberg, I think you go out and you get Ivar Stenberg.
Especially the World Championships he's having. I mean, come on.
And I think it's
Minnesota has shown that a winger could still be extremely valuable on a team.
Exactly.
Right? And it doesn't, like your play driver doesn't always have to be your center.
Well, an example close to home, Demidov hasn't really had a great center to play with, and he still produced relatively well for a rookie this year.
He started off slow, but I mean that's a rookie seeing the playoffs for the first time.
No, but even during the season,
in the second or third, yes, in the season, yes,
yeah.
But in the second and third round, I feel like he's really picked it up.
Last thing, like about the draft, is some teams will draft need, especially if they've been having high picks like the San Jose Sharks. Like we saw it, we spoke about it off air, but we were seeing how Lev Shunov went to Chicago, took Lev Shunov instead of taking, let's say, a Seneca or a Demidov, because they needed that right-handed defenseman. They thought they would have been very offensive. I can see San Jose taking that right-handed defenseman in Chase Reed. This guy's telling me not to look at the trade offer, and here he is.
There's a lot of players involved.
It'll be fun. I can't wait to talk about the draft even more so once all the playoffs shenanigans are done.
Okay, so
second overall pick defenseman is next.
There's a rumor out there that Nemec asked for a trade, and then there was a contradicting report right after saying Nemec never asked for a trade. However, Friedman did say that a change of scenery might be in order for Nemec.
Yeah, because he's a restricted free agent.
Because he's an RFA. What would be a destination? I mean, a lot of teams could use a Nemec. What destination would you think would be the biggest benefit to having a Nemec on their team?
A Nemec on their team right now? Toronto, San Jose. They both need a quarterback for that power play. I think Nemec he's a very good all-around player, but I think he's got that offensive talent to be that power play quarterback. So anybody who needs a quarterback there, the two teams that obviously come into play right away is Toronto and San Jose. The rest, there's usually other teams, but I'm trying to think. Like I'm looking at these.
No, I mean Calgary has Perek.
Yeah.
Buffalo has
Vancouver has Bouillon. If you look in the East, Detroit has Sandin Pelika.
But it wouldn't be bad for Nemec and Bouillon to kind of be together, maybe on different lines.
Exactly.
In
Buffalo
Vancouver,
has the lean. Boston?
But I mean, nobody's trading.
No, Boston could use one. I mean, they have a McAvoy, but he's not the prolific power play guy you want. So Nemec could fit well there.
I just feel like this is the type of player that the management, like Dubas and the Penguins, are going after. These are the type of players that, when their value drops a bit, he goes and grabs them and he gives them the ice time and the opportunity they need, and they excel. Are they going to trade him in the division? That's another.
Oh, I mean RFA. Maybe it's an offer sheet.
Oh, yeah, maybe it's an offer sheet. But I could see the Pittsburgh Penguins do. Even like the Islanders, they got Schaefer, but they have no one else back there to move the puck.
You never know. Nemec could be a number 3, right? He doesn't have to necessarily be a top pairing guy, and there's no guarantee that he turns into a top pairing guy,
but
even though he was drafted really high.
Do you still think he's a top pairing guy? Do you think he's like a
I think
45 to 50 point defenseman?
Yeah, 100%.
He's still young. I mean,
I'll tell you what. The issue is if New Jersey saw him as a 45 to 50 point defenseman, then I think they would have played him. Regardless if they already had Luke Hughes, regardless if they already had Hamilton, because you don't take a talent and say, well, the cream rises to the top, but this cream, I'm going to push it down. Like, to me, that doesn't make sense for an organization. Even if it's to showcase him for a potential trade, leaving him in the AHL or having him scratched half the time is not going to increase his value. So that's the only thing I'm skeptical on, because if he was as good as we thought he was when he got drafted, as a top pairing guy, then he would have made this team in New Jersey, regardless if they had other players there.
But I also think New Jersey was a bit of a shit show this year. Even what's his name went on.
Even more reason
Dylan.
for him to be
Ooh,
there.
Dylan went on.
Yeah, some interesting
on
stuff came
podcast,
out from
and-
Dylan.
and he said that it's all about the dressing room was divided.
who felt like they deserved
Yeah,
more ice
more
time,
ice
more
time. It was-
opportunity. The
he
Quinn
goes, it
Hughes
was-
thing was a bit of a mess.
Because it was a huge distraction and problem in the dressing room. And he goes, until they get rid of that problem, it's going to be a problem next year. So
Well, they're not getting rid of Luke Hughes. And
no,
they're
no,
not
but
getting
I'm
rid
saying,
of
but listen, I'm not saying
Jack Hughes.
I'm not saying it's Luke Hughes or Jack Hughes the problem. He didn't mention any
No,
names.
no.
I'm just saying that dressing room was toxic last year. So
Sounds like a Sheldon Keefe problem.
you know what? It could be.
But he's staying.
He didn't have a
staying,
very good dressing room in
I
Toronto.
think the new GM said that he's keeping Keefe.
Yeah.
They're all
And,
new GMs.
But
keep-
you know what?
will
Like,
usually-
guys,
Sorry, Jake.
imagine being Hamilton, Luke Hughes. Okay, Luke Hughes was his brother, but Nemec, Casey, and then they're talking about getting Quinn Hughes. And then who loses their spot on the power play, and who's this and who's that? I can see it being a mess. But development has a big part to do with this, right? How many times do we say when a winning team acquires a top pick, very rarely do they develop into something big, right? Nemec went into a team that wanted to win now, so didn't want to live with his mistakes. How much does that play into how productive he's been as of late? Does
Have you
that
seen Luke
change?
Hughes play? You're talking about mistakes. I mean,
Yeah.
this guy makes his share.
Yeah, well, he's got a name that has a decent pedigree that I think changes the narrative a little bit.
If that's how you're running your organization, I think there's
I think,
definite
well,
problems.
look what they tried to do. They tried to get all three brothers. That's how they were trying to run that organization. To each their own, I guess, but obviously it didn't quite
All right,
work out
let's
the way they
finish up
wanted.
here with.
We can skip the PNHLe.
Yeah.
It's going to be long. We'll save it for the next one.
Oh, I'm just gonna mention one thing on the
go ahead.
PNHLe.
No, you could go ahead if you guys are not.
Mason Black's PNHLE. If you guys don't know what PNHLE is a calculation that is based off of the different types of leagues and trying to project what that production would have been if they were playing in the NHL. So NHL points as opposed to SHL points or WHL points. What does it translate to? And top of the PNHLE board is not McKenna, who is projected to go first overall. He's not even second. Instead, it's Ivar Stenberg, number one overall with 110 points, and Carson Carroll's 101 points, and then Gavin McKenna at 100. So, I mean, truthfully, it could have been 1-2, even Stenberg and McKenna, but just over, and it's kind of interesting having Carson Carroll's up there. Simashev was surprisingly at 91.
I was just looking and I'm like, why Simashev there? And I'm looking at his stats. AHL, 40 games played, 35 points.
Yeah.
That's nuts. Is
That's very good for a
28 games in the AHL.
what is he, 19, 20?
21.
Okay.
But 6'4". But Simashev completely shocked me that he had 35 points in the AHL. I've always thought of Simashev as this 6'4", defense only, hardcore, good first pass defenseman, but never the offensive pedigree that he's showing in the AHL. I mean, this is just good news for Utah.
Number 7 on this list is the one that I'm curious about, Benjamin Rautiainen. Wow, I can't pronounce that, but he's a Tampa Bay prospect playing in La Liga in Finland.
I think listener Dan has him.
Yeah, PNHLE is 90. And I thought to myself, which of the following two players are people going to reach the most for? Kanserov or Rautiainen?
Well,
Because everyone's going to assume he's going to play with Kuch and Hagel and so on, Braden Point, and Kanserov's going to play with Bedard.
They're going to lose Radish.
just to give you guys an example, right? Porter Martone was at 90. And Konsta Helenius, who we both seen in these playoffs, was at 89.
He looks so good.
So these guys looked really good these other guys are younger and looking extremely good as well. So it's just sky's the limit for guys like Stenberg and McKenna, I think, is what I'm going to take away from all this, with a couple of surprising names in there as well. Just to finalize this odd man rush, guys, and to put a bow on it, Landon Dupont.
What a player.
Remember that name.
Next year's projected first overall pick. He had exceptional status by appearing Saturday night as a 16-year-old. Landon Dupont became the fourth exceptional status player to play at the Memorial Cup, joining Sean Day, Joe Veleno, and Michael Misa. The 2027 NHL draft prospect also made history as the first exceptional status player to come from the WHL. So that's going to be somebody that Tankathon master here, Vincenzo, is going to be going for. And I think that well-deserved for whoever drafts him first overall next year.
Yeah, he's the best. He's better than anybody from the last two drafts.
He better than Schaefer?
Oh, that's going to be close.
Better than Celebrini?
Before Schaefer played an NHL game, you would have
Position-wise.
before Schaefer played an NHL
Schaefer?
game, you wouldn't have said Dupont might be better. Now that we know what Schaefer looks like, I'll probably give it to Schaefer because we know for sure what he is. But
We've done so much of this.
Dupont is
of
going to be
these
so good.
Yeah, but it all depends where they're landing. Where the landing spot is so important for prospects because that's where the development is gonna continue. So Schaefer was fell with the Islanders with a coach who had no problem giving the young guy minutes and time to make mistakes. And Schaefer grew into that role and just ran away with it. So Dupont, it's gonna be who is he going to, right? Who is gonna be?
if Toronto decides to rebuild, gets McKenna now, trades for more assets or whatever, ends up getting Dupont next year, man, they're like a rebuild. The fastest, one of the quicker rebuilds you can get, man.
Yeah,
I don't think that's going to happen.
But you can't guarantee you're going to get that first pick. That's the problem.
And their interest is not being last again.
Exactly.
No, they don't even have their own first, so they can't.
Yeah. The Stanley Cup playoffs are here, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, has a new customer offer. When the ice gets coldest, the best players in the world show you exactly who they are. Playoff warriors turn it up round by round, and DraftKings turns it up with them for the first round all the way to the Stanley Cup final. Bet player props, bet live. From the opening faceoff to the final horn, every moment matters. Bet just $5 and you'll get $100 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code THPN so you're ready for the moment. That's code THPN. Turn $5 into $100 in bonus bets instantly. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-MY-RESET. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 and over in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. Limited time offer.
What happened there?
When we recorded it, the mics were muted.
You guys are unbelievable.
Totally forgot about that.
Unbelievable. Okay, so listen, we're already an hour into the episode. We're not gonna because we're doing the fantasy lens with this episode. This episode will be a little longer, but we spoke about prospects. We spoke about playoffs. So my interest was getting trade targets. And who are trade targets for the offseason, and what would be the best situation for this player? So I'll just name you guys one player at a time, and you guys can tell me which teams you think they're going to go to or be the best fit, and if it's even a possibility. We take into consideration salary, payroll, and stuff like that. So the first guy on the list is Morgan Riley from Toronto. He's a lefty. He's 32. In 78 games, he had 11 goals, 36 points. He's got 4 years left on his contract at $7.5 million. The key piece with Morgan Riley and a lot of these Toronto players are he's got a no-move clause. So already it's been determined that with his no-move clause, the first instruction is, I want to go west. So is there any team in the West that would benefit from like getting Morgan Riley, or is this like something Ken Hughes did with Monahan, where I'll take Monahan's contract, but you got to give me something in return? Nick?
Well, I mean, I think we mentioned before in this episode that Morgan Riley would be a great number 3 or 4 on a team. Teams like Vancouver come to mind, where that would be a great fit to have a Morgan Riley there. What about the potential of Anaheim? I know you
that's
guys.
what I was gonna go Anaheim.
You know, maybe John Carlson is not the guy that they bring back next year because he's a UFA. And hey, guess what? Trouba's a UFA, but he kind of brings a different dynamic. And
It would be
Gudas
to
is a
replace
USA,
Carlson,
but replacing Carlson with a Morgan Riley that you could have for the next few years on a competitive team, that'd be great. So yeah, I think Morgan Riley has a lot more value than people think. Because to me, he kind of reminds me of a Matheson a bit, right? Where you would have that puck moving ability, but not game breaking necessarily, and pretty responsible defensively, not the most defensive defenseman out there. There's value in the NHL for a number 3-4 defenseman. Just don't play him out of position as a number 1.
Even LA might not be a bad idea. The California teams, basically, even San Jose wouldn't be too bad.
I think Vancouver would be a good fit for him just because
San Jose.
they're going through a rebuild, so he can be that veteran presence on the blue line while they get all these young guys.
I just don't think he wants to go there.
Listen, from what I'm hearing,
like, he hasn't won anything yet,
I think his wife's from.
Yeah, what's her name?
It's the skater, the figure skater,
Tessa Virtue.
I think she's from Vancouver, so I think
Tessa Virtue is Morgan Riley's wife?
Yeah.
This guy won the lottery. He doesn't need a Stanley Cup. He already won.
He's got a gold
Exactly.
medal. I
Yeah.
mean, she's got one. She's more acclimated than he is.
There you go.
Maybe he does want a cup.
Okay, so second player on the list is
This is mind blowing.
Yeah. So second player
Where
on the
have you
list
been?
is Jordan Kyrou. Jordan Kyrou just has a no trade clause. So basically, Morgan Riley had a full no movement. So he needs to decide where he's going. A no trade clause just means that a player needs to agree to get traded.
So he gets to choose where he goes.
No, technically no.
Yes, technically yes.
Yes.
He has nobody could trade him unless he agrees.
Yes, but
He can't be sent down to the HL.
exactly. Yeah, but
Yeah.
so
Which is very rare.
yeah, no, they're not. So Jordan Kyrou, I mean, his name's been around. Nobody bid. I mean, the price I think was very hefty to get a Jordan Kyrou. Junior Jordan Kyrou, where do you see him fit as a winger? Rumors right now and I mean, Edmonton Oilers are in every goddamn rumor. They're in on every player that's rumored to be on the trade block. So Jordan Kyrou, where do you see him fitting if St. Louis wants to get rid of him?
I think Seattle could use a Jordan Kyrou. I think they could use that offensive punch. They're a team that's defends pretty well. We keep saying how they're like full of second liners, but I don't see a 30-goal scorer on that team, a consistent 30-goal scorer, and I think Kyrou would fit nicely there. And he'd be pretty well insulated as well. So I would go Seattle Kraken, and I don't think that would diminish his value. I know you think Seattle, you think, oh, you automatically, your production is going to plummet, but I think that would be a good fit.
I think any rebuilding team, and there's a lot of them, could use a Jordan Kyrou. But I'll also say LA.
Yeah.
I think I know they just got Panarin, so maybe there isn't as much of an appetite as there was. And I know that Fiala got injured, which really hurt their playoffs. But why not have more than just two guys that could put the puck in the net? Why not have a Jordan Kyrou there to solidify that top six a little bit more? I think LA would be in on more offense.
Interesting.
I would throw in the Islanders too. The Islanders could use a Jordan Kyrou, and they have the assets to get it done too.
And that way he goes to the East, right? He doesn't
Yeah.
stay in the West for St. Louis.
If he goes back to his 30-goal scoring, 5 years at $8.13 million is not a bad contract.
No, I don't know what happened with him. Is it a St. Louis thing? Is it a coaching thing?
It's a Greek thing, no?
It's weird how things just suddenly went off
he's just not
track
a
of it.
fit. He's not a fit.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because he was a fit before.
Yeah, but what
But
happened?
I don't know.
So third on list is Jake DeBrusk. So he's a left winger. He's 29, played 81 games, scored 23 goals, 42 points. He's got 5 years at 5.5. He also has a no movement clause, which I'm pretty sure he'll just accept to move it to get out of Vancouver. But like at Jake DeBrusk, we're not putting him on a Jordan Kyrou level, right? So Jake DeBrusk is more of a second line winger that can give you some scoring, or a third line winger that can give you some scoring.
I mean, to me, he sounds like a third liner.
Okay.
He doesn't have the hands. He doesn't have the shot that really makes you fear him as an offensive weapon. What he has is he's a very good forechecker, and he has that tenacity in the sense of the will to constantly be out there. He has a motor, and he's constantly in the mix of things, but he's not very offensively gifted. You know, he's just a good skater that forechecks really well. And
Junior?
Yeah, I just feel like he would be a player like the Golden Knights wouldn't pay much to go get, but they will never fit him in the under the cap because Dorofeyev still has to be signed. But I think he would be like a great third liner on a team like Vegas, on a contending team.
Okay, so now we're going to be talking about... I'm going to put all these goalies together so that we don't get always... because there's only a certain amount of teams that are looking for goaltending. So we have Jordan Binnington, 33 years old. He has 1 year left at $6 million. We have Aiden Hill, who's 30, has 5 years left at $6.25 million. Sam Montembeault has 1 year left at $3.15. And Elvis Merzlikins, 1 year at $5.4 million left. I left Cossa and Levi out because they're younger players. We spoke about them. We're done with that. Which team could use one of these veteran goalies? And which one?
Binnington?
Binnington, he has 1 year left at $6 million. Montembeault has 1 year at 3.15. Aiden Hills has 5 years at 6.25. Merzlikins has 1 year at 5.4. So, if any of these goalies move, like, can they be a number one on another team? Like Colorado. Is Colorado going to start looking for a goalie?
No, I don't think so.
I feel like Colorado is looking for a goalie all the time in the past.
And Nabokov
And
is
then-
making his way too next year.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? They have a Nabokov that has a Wedgwood replacement, maybe.
So, let's say, we're all thinking about Edmonton, right?
Not really, though, because they went to get Jarry. They still have guys on their
No,
contract.
Jarry is not in the contract anymore, I think. Jarry's done in Edmonton.
Oh, now you're throwing things out there.
I
that,
have it. I have it here. I got it here. I'm going to check it here, but I'm pretty sure
I think he still has a contract.
he has
Yeah.
1 more year.
I think he was still in there.
Let me check. Tristan Jarry.
Yeah, he's got 2
He's
years
got
left.
2 more years. Oh, boy. 2 more years at 5.3.
I mean, it's not crazy.
Yeah, it's not
the salary.
And he also has a modified no trade clause. Jesus Christ. These things are giving out like candies, these deals. So Edmonton is stuck with Jarry right now. Who else in the NHL do you feel needs a goaltender? Like I was thinking maybe Philly, but it seems like Vladar is their
I
guy
think
right
Vladar
now.
is somebody that's going to be drafted next year in fantasy.
Better than the 4 options I just gave you, right?
Yeah.
So
he was a waiver wire guy this year, but I think next year he's going to be like a drafted guy.
So who are we looking at that kind of made the playoffs but are looking for a goalie?
Florida Panthers. They don't sign Bobrovsky.
$10 million Bobrovsky? I don't think he's coming back at $10 million.
No, I think the rumor or the reports were saying close to 6-7 is what the asking price might be.
So is Bobrovsky a better option than a Binnington? I think Aiden Hill.
Bobrovsky on a 1-year deal I would take Bobrovsky on a 1-year deal over any of these guys.
But do you think Bobrovsky will sign a 1-year deal?
Probably not.
See?
Well, mind you, he's like 38, so he could.
but-
Depends where he goes.
Because in like Aiden Hill, for me, 5 years, 6.25, I think that's off limits for anybody, right?
I think that was a very
Opportunistic Stanley Cup.
no. I mean, look, they paid the guy that won the Stanley Cup with them. Good for you, but I don't think ever that this was going to age well. First of all, Aiden Hill has never been that good of a goalie consistently. He had a very good year, very good run. But I've always been a detractor on Aiden Hill's long-term success. So I don't think Aiden Hill was the play there. So, yeah, I don't think Aiden Hill is going to be wanted by anybody, to be honest with you. Binnington, though, has a cup ring. Binnington has shown with Team Canada that he could still play, right? I think somebody's more willing to take a risk on Binnington than they are on some other... And I think maybe Dobish even opens the door for Binnington a bit, because Dobish has that attitude, that fighting back mentality and all of that. And, hey, look, he's in the conference freaking final. Why wouldn't Binnington be able to... I mean, he had a bad year, don't get me wrong, but so St. Louis all had a bad year. You know, I think that team was willing to go for a Binnington, as long as they're not paying too much.
Okay, so Vincent Trocheck, 33 years old, 67 games played, 53 points. He still has 3 years left at 5.63. I mean,
That's a steal.
because he could easily be a number 2 centerman, can't he? Even at 33, can he not slot into a number 2 centerman?
Even as a number 3 centerman, 5-point-something million doesn't break the bank.
No, Dano's making 5, and I mean,
He's been so valuable these playoffs.
he's been, but
unbelievable.
I feel Trocheck is like Dano, except he has a bit more offensive.
Yeah, but a bit not as good defensively, but better
face-offs.
offensively.
He's as good as Dano as face-offs. So, can someone benefit with Trocheck?
Detroit? I mean,
Oh, Detroit could use centers. Detroit could definitely use
Detroit.
centers.
I think they went after him at the deadline for sure. They must have. But
Comfort, Cop. Like, Larkin's the only decent player that's there.
And even
Yeah,
Larkin.
Casper,
They're saying Larkin would be a better 2C than a 1C, but
You know who's being compared to a lot to Larkin?
Malhotra.
Malhotra. Yeah, that's what they're saying. So, yeah, Trocheck is going to be a fascinating story coming in.
the Jets.
The Jets could
Jets could use a
2C.
2C.
Jets could use it, and they
But
have
nobody wants to go to Winnipeg, so it's going to have to be...
If they're a contending team, maybe
Are they?
they need some work, man.
Who's going to convince somebody that didn't make the playoffs this year that, hey, you know, we're actually a contending team?
What about the Bruins?
And also Trocheck. Wait.
Higgins?
Okay, Trocheck gets
And in between,
Trocheck.
Higgins is going to be there.
Trocheck it gets a bit better. Trocheck has he has to give a 12 team, no trade list.
So you basically
so
pick
forget
all
Winnipeg.
you pick all the teams that have high taxes.
Dougie Hamilton, like the Devils have to do something on that back line. He's eating up $9 million. He has 2 more years left at $9 million. I mean, my first option for Dougie Hamilton was obviously Toronto with some kind of retention.
Well,
from
we're
New
bringing
Jersey.
in the same teams over and over again.
Yeah.
We're saying
But is there anybody else that can use a Dougie Hamilton on their team?
plenty. He's a like a number 2 defenseman that could run your power play. I mean, he's getting older.
He's
Don't get me
33.
wrong.
He's 33.
He's getting older, but I mean, he could really like. Okay, let's mention Anaheim again, or let's mention San Jose.
You guys have no faith in Lacombe in Anaheim?
Yeah, sure, but you could use more than one
you
offensive
need a
defenseman.
Robin. You need a Robin.
So you guys are not convinced on Zellweger or Minchukov to be that second offensive defenseman?
I think Zellweger has the
Zellweger
best
yeah.
chance to be that number 2 offensive, but it's not going to be now.
Okay.
It's just if they want to start winning now, are they gonna rely on Zellweger to do that?
Yeah.
Again, you're replacing John Carlson with a Hamilton who's younger and could stay on for a couple of years. I would like that.
And your players some of your young players are still making like ECL contract money, so it opens the door.
You know, you have Luneau coming up that looks good.
The thing is, you want a bit of veteran presence there. They have maybe Chuba if they resign him, but if right now signed for next year, they don't have any vets.
No, Gudis.
Well, Gudis was your captain. I don't think he's going to be
Unsigned,
your
you know?
captain. next year.
Unsigned. So
Unsigned, yeah.
It'll be interesting. Doug Hamilton, and I'm the final one. I'm just gonna throw his name out. Mason McTavish. I mean, he's had a horrendous year since signing that $7 million contract. He's got 5 years left at $7 million. Is there a team where he can go where he can rejuvenate his career? I mean, the kid is 23 years old, but
there's a few teams that could use a McTavish. It's just not
like. Have you given up on McTavish saying that?
I think he's such a fit in Detroit. I think he would be amazing in Detroit. I think he would be amazing in Vancouver. He'd be amazing in Calgary. He'd be amazing. Like, there's so many teams that you could say that could use, like, even Columbus. I'd love to see McTavish in Columbus.
Yeah, you have a Fantilli McTavish down the middle.
Yeah, but he's not a number one. And that's the thing, right? He's not going to be a number one. He's barely a number two right now.
He'll be a good number two with good wingers around him, surrounded with good players around him.
I would like to see him in Montreal. Montreal could use a McTavish.
Sure. But, yeah, sure.
With managed expectations, right? We're not talking about a point per game player here.
No, and right. I don't think. I think he's going to be a 60-pointer at most.
You know,
so
can fluctuate second, third line. You know, if Hage comes up, then imagine having Suzuki, Hage, McTavish, 1, 2, 3.
So Nick, 60. Let's say 60 points at $7 million. Is that satisfying for you? Is that okay with you?
In today's NHL, yes. In today's
the progression of the cap, yeah.
Yeah. In today's salary cap, $7 million for a 60-point player. Yeah, sure.
And if he ever shoots that 70 to 75, then you're just laughing because.
Yeah, I don't see him having that offensive dynamism that I thought McTavish would have. Like
he's not great defensively either. So it's weird. It's a weird situation.
He's also young, right? He's 23.
Well, he's getting to his prime.
He came to the NHL very, very young. Like he made the team right away, and
LA could really use him, but they're not going to trade him there.
Never.
Yeah, and you see, and they can trade him anywhere until 2029, 2030. That's when he has a modified no trade clause. Yep. So he's open to being traded right now. So I mean, we're talking about trade bait now. This is like more in July, and there's more players that are going to be on this board as we go along, especially once the draft is done. Because I feel this year's draft has a potential of having a lot of action on it. Like,
was that our fantasy lens?
Yeah,
we didn't play the music.
Yeah,
we'll play it on at the end of it, I guess.
All right. I don't know.
That does it for the fantasy lens, ladies and gents.
I have to find it first.
Up next is
It would have been nice to have a producer.
Up next, while we play that, is going to be the quickest recap of the playoffs, Battle Royale playoff pool. Very, 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 very extremely quick. Doesn't sound like it. It's a segment.
It's definitely not our midweek show. It's definitely our mid-segment show.
Yeah, mid
and segment show.
Mid-show segment.
Dang. Jeez.
All right, up next is the playoff pool Battle Royale brought to you by Patisserie Boulangerie Italia. That's not it. It's well, this is not PBLL. It's Battle Royale is glorious.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. There we go.
Leave it. So we apologize for the level of the production today, as we haven't been in person in a couple of weeks, right? So
I got distracted. Vegas is winning.
Yeah, so Vegas has scored 4 consecutive unanswered goals to take the lead 4-3 with 7 minutes left in the third period versus Colorado.
Who scored the fourth one?
Hurdle.
He's been disappeared.
With that game in mind, Junior here is still in first place, but Tino P has climbed up with 6.9 points tonight to second place with 21.5, making him 3.5 points behind me. Listener and contender Russo is at 20.7 points so far in this round in third place. And then we've got Caparelli, Temerms, and Guides that finish up the 6 teams in this standing. So, guys, so far so good for me. I'm a bit spread out, so I'm expecting less points in the next round where some teams have went full Vegas and Carolina, some went full Carolina, full Vegas,
Whoever went
Colorado.
is not happy right now.
Well, yeah, I think
Hey.
Termerms went.
Is it possible for Colorado to still make it to 7?
It's gonna be tough, man.
Guys, how fun would that be, though?
Well, listen, the game's not over.
No,
There's still 7 minutes left.
I just hope they're not. Yeah, man, that's a dagger 4-3 to give up a.
If
3-goal
Colorado
lead.
goes down 3-0 in the series, which it might not happen, but if they go out down 3-0 in the series, they would have to win 4 in a row against Vegas Golden Knights.
2 of them at home, 2 of them on the road.
It's possible.
I mean, if it was a different team, I'd say you're crazy.
It's
but
rare.
It is McKinnon. It is
It's rare.
50% Makar. But if
Yeah.
they get swept, guys, Makar being injured or not, there's some questions to be asked here.
I think Bednar gets fired if they get swept.
If they don't make it close, I think you might be onto something.
Yeah.
Especially if David Call is ready to go to Colorado, if they choose to want to go that way. By the way, I don't know if it's true, but I heard I read a rumor that assistant general manager McCrimmon for the Avalanche might get the job in Nashville, which is why Nashville hasn't hired a GM yet.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you want to be a winning organization, I think you should go out and get guys from winning organizations that have seen how it's done.
Yeah, that
No.
know what it takes.
Yeah, you don't go out and get a Cheka.
No.
Why'd you always have to
Ah,
bring the poor
man.
guy in, man?
Oh, Toronto's the best.
I didn't
They
bring up
always
anyone.
we always have topics to talk about when it comes to Toronto, man.
They make the job of media so much easier. There's always something to talk about.
Always. And even when there isn't, there still is.